Have you ever wondered what would have happened if George W. Bush didn't invade Iraq in 2003? This question takes us back to a time of uncertainty and fear, a time when the world was on the edge of its seat, anticipating the next move on the global chessboard. The tragic events of September 11, 2001, had left a deep wound on the American psyche, a wound that was crying out for justice. In response, the Bush administration established the Bush Doctrine, a policy that declared the U.S. had the right to secure itself against countries that harbored or gave aid to terrorist groups. It was a daring stance that aimed to prevent further terrorist attacks. Meanwhile, reports were surfacing about Iraq's possession of weapons of mass destruction. The world watched, breathless, as allegations mounted and tensions rose. So the stage was set for an invasion, but what if it never happened? Imagine a world where Bush decided against the invasion. Let's take a step back in time and wander down this unseen path. It's a world where the U.S. chooses to focus its military efforts on Afghanistan, in the wake of the devastating September 11th attacks. In this alternate timeline, Iraq remains under the iron fist of Saddam Hussein. While his regime was undeniably harsh, it did provide a certain stability to the region. A balance of power was maintained, with Iraq acting as a counterweight to Iran. The two nations, locked in a perpetual stare-down, kept each other in check. Without the U.S. invasion, this equilibrium might have remained undisturbed. Meanwhile, a concentrated effort in Afghanistan could have yielded different results in the war on terror. Perhaps the U.S. could have rooted out al-Qaeda more effectively, preventing the spread of the organization and its offshoots. The Taliban, too, might have been kept at bay, providing a more secure future for Afghanistan. In this alternate world, the Middle East's political landscape would be markedly different. With Iraq still under Saddam's rule, the rise of ISIS could have been prevented. The power vacuum left by the deposed dictator in our timeline gave this extremist group their foothold. In our parallel universe, they may never have found their footing. And what of the millions displaced by the conflict, the lives lost, the cities reduced to rubble? In this untraveled path, these human and infrastructural costs could have been avoided. This hypothetical scenario also raises questions about the global perception of the United States. Without the controversy and international condemnation that the Iraq invasion brought, would the U.S. have maintained a stronger position on the world stage? Of course, this unseen path is not without its own potential pitfalls. Saddam's continued reign could have led to further atrocities within Iraq, and the absence of a U.S. presence might have emboldened other regional powers. But it's an interesting exercise to ponder the road not taken. This parallel universe paints quite a different picture, doesn't it? But the impact wouldn't just be restricted to the Middle East. The reverberations of this choice would echo around the globe, affecting far more than just Iraq. Let's delve into this hypothetical world. The United States' foreign policy would likely have taken a different trajectory. Without the war in Iraq, America could have been seen as less interventionist, potentially fostering better relationships with other nations. This could have led to a shift in the global balance of power, with implications for international diplomacy and geopolitics. The world's perception of the U.S. might also have been different. Without the controversy and division caused by the war, America may have enjoyed a more favorable global image. This could have made international cooperation easier, strengthening global alliances and partnerships. The global fight against terrorism would also have been impacted. Without the Iraq War as a rallying point, the dynamics of international terrorism could have been significantly altered, possibly leading to a different global security landscape. Imagine how different the world stage could have been. History is a cascade of cause and effect, and one decision can change everything. Just imagine if George W. Bush had not decided to invade Iraq in 2003, the world as we know it could be drastically different. Picture a Middle East possibly less ravaged by war, a United States perhaps less entangled in endless conflicts, and a global political landscape potentially less fraught with tension. This hypothetical scenario is a stark reminder of the butterfly effect, the concept that small causes can have large effects. The decision to not invade Iraq could have set off a chain of reactions, reshaping the course of history. There could have been fewer lives lost, less destruction, and different political alliances. However, it's also possible that other conflicts could have erupted, or different powers could have filled the vacuum left by a non-invasive U.S. One thing is clear though. One decision can indeed shape the course of history. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?